There we go. Thank you. Okay. So I'm not going to go back over that as it's not terribly important. It's just, again, the focus of the presentation today. If you could go to the next slide, please. What we do want to remind everyone of, and I have the IRC ones listed here, but I also see there are definitely some tenure track people, and I've got the numbers for you here. But please, please, please read the documents. Don't just look at the grid or the matrix that we call it. These all have very specific parts to them. So, and where you locate them is, again, if you get onto the intranet, which is mycon.ucdenver.edu, and you are on, if you're at home, you're signed in to the system, then you go again into standing committees. Then under that is APT documents, and there's a list of documents. Number one is the 4 missions. That is a 4-page document that gives you the definitions and the expectations of the 4 missions of our college. Number 2 is the statement on scholarship. This was the approved version by faculty from May of 2020. It is a 7-page document. It talks again and gives specific examples about the difference between tier 1 and tier 2 scholarship. Number 3 is a hiring document, so I skipped past that. Number 4, if you are an IRC, you will take a look at documents 4, 5, and 6. If you are tenure track, these are 7, 8, and 9, and they are the criteria. And for example, for if you are IRC, that document 4, that's 15 pages. It is talks about anticipatory guidance. It talks about if you graduate and get your degree, how you can move forward in the process for that. If you are currently do not have a doctoral degree and then get one, it talks about levels of review and the APT process. It talks about internal and external letters. It goes through the whole process. So please, please read that one. Number 5 is packet submission. And again, telling you what you need to submit, including this piece for Interfolio. And then, of course, we've got all the matrices, I guess I should say in plural. Again, this would be number 9 if you are tenure track. But please don't just pull up the matrix. Look at all of these documents. It's really going to help you. We always encourage you to give those a good read. So with that, thank you. I will turn it on over to Priscilla.
Great, so we can go to the next slide. So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about organizing your dossier before you put it into Interfolio. So first, I think most importantly is to update your CV, make sure everything is updated in your CV, because that's going to help you organize the dossier. And so I guess the question is, what is a dossier? So just to be quick, for this particular reason, for promotion, it includes your CV. It's going to include your self-evaluation letter, all the documents supporting each criteria for promotion, and letters of evaluation. So today, what I want to focus on is the organization of those supporting documents. So it is a creative, reflective process. So you need to give yourself time to do it well, and then go back and look at it again. I think you'll find that you may have forgotten a presentation you did or something like that. So give yourself time to be able to go back and look at it, and ask for help. Laura talked about this, but it's it's necessary, very helpful to talk to somebody who's already gone through promotion, and or your division chair, and share ideas, and they will share ideas. They will also often share their self-evaluation letters, which is very helpful in forming your own. You're not going to make it just like theirs, but it should give you the idea of organization. and you can come to the APT committee for the big picture, like the administrative process. Where do I go, for this information, or, what does this mean in this document? But for the creative process, it's better to go to somebody who has done it before, or your division chair. And the APT committee is not able to share their self-evaluation letters or dossiers while they're on the APT committee. So the main thing I wanted to talk about was organizing your documents by criteria. So each document, each supporting document is meant to support one criterion. Your accomplishments you need to be able to kind of parse them out to fit into a criteria. And that's very important. So not using one accomplishment over several criteria. It needs to be one accomplishment for one criteria. You can go to the next one. And just a little bit about naming the document. It helps you and your organization, but also will help us. And basically, you want to have a consistent system that includes the criterion and what's inside. So for instance, if you have course evaluations, you want to name it, for instance, teaching meritorious criterion 1. So what criterion is going to, and then what's inside course evaluations. It doesn't have to be this exact system, but some system like that. It doesn't have to have your name on it, because as Laura said, you're going to have your own file with your name on it. And so we know whose it is. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was the alignment of the CV, the self-evaluation letter, and the dossier, or the supporting documents, so that there is alignment between the three things. In that, if you say, if you talk about your student evaluations under teaching meritorious 1, then that's where you need to talk about it in your self-evaluation letter. So that is all I have. So you can go on to the next, and I think it's now Amy and Mustafa.
Yep. So like Laura already said, Interfolio is where you're going to upload all your documents. The College of Nursing invested in Interfolio. It's an online platform for submitting your dossiers. It's also one that the rest of the campus uses it, and we've used it for promotion and reappointments since I've been here. I will send you a link, since if you've already declared this year, you're on our list, and I will send you a link to get access to your specific case. It will have the criteria within it. But like Laura said, reference the criteria that's on the internet. You need to log in within 30 days or else your link will die, and then you won't be able to get back in. So just do it as soon as possible. You're going to log in like you would to anything else external to the college. You will log in through a partner institution, and it's going to take you through your regular people portal, as I call it. So it'll look like your regular login. And then at the top, it's going to have this gold bar that says College of Nursing. So if you promoted at the School of Medicine or any of the other entities on campus, it's not going to have that gold bar, and you're going to be in the wrong case, but we can figure that out later. This is Mickey Mouse here. You do not need to have VPN access to access Interfolio. And this is just a closer up view of it, but Mustafa is going to show you, oh, sorry, your.
So I think it's appropriate to get some questions. Is there any questions before I just go over what I submitted 2 years ago as a case? Go ahead, Brenda.
The login, is it the same login that we use for logging into our CU account?
Yeah, it will be. Once you claim your account, then it will be your CU login.
Thank you.
So Amy already mentioned, but you don't need VPN to access Interfolio website. It's a external server, so you can just access it without a VPN at home.
Thanks, Mustafa. Yeah, let me clarify that. So to get into the CON intranet, you do use VPN. For Interfolio, you do not need to.
So the process starts with you declaring. And when you filled out the form stack that we sent out this year, you declared your intent to promote. You've spoken to your supervisor and reviewed the criteria that you're going to use to seek promotion, reappointment, whatever it is. Then once we get that far, because that has already, we send that out in June and July, and we ask you to declare by August. Now, for those of you who need external letters, you've been working with Mustafa and Priscilla to get those in. And then I will send you a link to Interfolio within the next few days in order to upload your documents into Interfolio.
Mustafa, maybe you're, oh, sorry, you're gonna explain this in the, when you show it, but like when you put it in, I heard that there are, for each of the criteria, it's like separated by that section. Do we need to move those like almost like into folders or something? And maybe that's what you're gonna show us?
Yeah, we will go over different sections. Yeah.
Sweet.
Thanks.
I have a question. This is Pat.
Go
So
ahead.
I probably am overthinking, as I tend to do. As I look at it, for September the 15th, we need to give the names of 3 external reviewers. And then I'm unclear, do these people also write letters? Because then the reviewers I get, and that's all really well spelled out, but who do these people write letters as well? And I don't see that they're supposed to, but I wanted to clarify.
I can answer that one. So you give us 3 names for external reviewers, and we take those. We also look for our own external reviewers, and for that September 15th, you're telling us what your scholarship is in, what your scholarship is in. And we try to find people. You are giving us 3 names of people who know that scholarship and would be able to answer to your dossier and evaluate your dossier. And then we find 3, and then out of that, we find several. We then use those names to pick 2 or 3 who will evaluate your dossier.
So just because I'm going back and forth, I am, other than the supervisor writes us a letter, and that's lined to the applicant, but we don't need to get other letters of reference.
Correct. We take it from there.
Most excellent. Thank you.
Right. Yeah.
You know, this is Jennifer DeSabato. So just to clarify that, because I went up a few years ago, and so I'm just kind of clarifying this for Pat too. So
Thank you.
you know, understanding the process of the reviewers, makes sense. And I was asked to give several names because not everyone accepts the offer to review because they've got other time constraints. But then I was also told and did gather letters from people that I work very closely with on my scholarship, and that was separate. So those were, individual colleagues from various places. So I guess I'm thinking that we can, or we might want to do that. I mean, I did, and I thought that was what we needed to do. Is
Well,
that change?
it's interesting because the three people who have agreed all want to write letters. And so so it's okay, so long as they review it, and then I would put that in as an attachment, or I guess, I don't know. I mean, you don't have to have the letters, but it's not frowned upon to have letters.
So there's external reviewers and that's separate. Now, if you want to get colleagues who you work with you can get letters from them, but we need external reviewers who you have not probably worked with or definitely have not worked with closely. They can't be your mentor, for instance.
So-
But they need to know your area of scholarship.
Thank you. That actually is very clarifying. And for the letters, they could be internal or external. That's like a question. I didn't phrase it like a question. Is that correct?
The only letter you need is
From the
it-
supervisor.
is your supervisor,
Right,
right?
okay,
If
okay.
you want to include other support, but that will be separate from the external reviewers.
Perfect. Great, thanks.
Any further questions?
One more clarifying, and there's nowhere in Interfolio that we give this potential external reviewer list. That's just something that we give to the P&T committee and you guys take it from there. I don't need to put that information in Interfolio anywhere.
That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct. So yeah.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify. I saw some answers in the chat to my question, but it's the subtleties of who you're asking to be your external reviewers. I'm in a really small group of expertise, with military and veteran women's health. And so everybody knows everybody else. And I've worked with almost all of them on different projects. So what are some taboos? I've been the external reviewers for some of those folks who I would say know our work the best. So I guess I can't name them because I've already done their external review. Or I've been on grants or, manuscripts with all of these people. So what kind of taboos do I have kind of to shape who I'm naming?
So I need to check for IRC, but for tenure line, we request reviewers not to have previous collaboration as a author or like to submit any or have any funded work. So that's what we look in the tenure line. So you shouldn't the applicant shouldn't have this type of relationships like the co-authorship or being co-investigator. But I need to check for IRC. I am not sure.
This is Priscilla. It's the same for RIC. Yeah. So when you fill out the external reviewer form, I think it also asks your relationship with this person. And perhaps you don't have any yet. Perhaps you only heard them at a conference and they gave the same, they had the same interests and scholarship that you do. But do list very clearly the relationship, and that will help us decide. And again, this is just for those going up for assistant and full professor who need that external reviewers. Amy had a good point that the external reviewers, the review and the name of who is the external reviewer is not shared with the applicant.
I'm sorry, Priscilla, you said assistant or full professor needs the external reviewers? I read that associate also.
Yeah, associate and full. So if you are
Okay, yeah.
going
understood.
after associate or full professor ranks, then you will definitely need.
Okay, I just wanted to
Excellent.
clarify. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say, associate, if I did not, associate and full. Yeah, sorry.
I have a question about Interfolio.
Yeah.
Mustafa, you might be the best expert at this. Where is this backed up?
So short answer, we don't know where it is backed up, but it's an external service that it's a third-party service we get as a I think campus, not as a college, but as a campus. So
Yeah.
I believe it's totally external service. So this
It's in the cloud somewhere.
yeah, it's in the cloud somewhere.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's my best knowledge about it.
And so people on the APT committee will be downloading the information and storing that somewhere. I'm just wondering, like, we post our materials there, and what's the security around our materials?
So they, one of the reasons we did go to Interfolio is because we can track who opens and reads things.
So it has an audit trail.
Yeah, it has an audit
Yeah.
trail. I personally can download people's packets, but I don't know if every single committee member has the access. Because for some tenure track promotion, we have to print it out anyway. But I don't know if they have access to download it as well, but I can check.
Amy, can I add to that?
Yeah, please.
So Kathy, any of these cloud-based apps have to go through scrutiny of OIT. And for instance, for this faculty activity reporting, that's a module of Interfolio that we're going to be adding this year. That just completed their review. So we couldn't move ahead with purchasing the system until the OIT review went through, and they have to do these penetration tests so that to see if external people can penetrate the system. So it is secured as our stuff here in the university is. But that review is completed by Central OIT.
Thank you.
Any further questions? So, okay, let me do a quick demonstration of Interfolio, and then you can always ask any kind of question in this area. So this is what you see when you log in, more or less. And the nice thing about is that you don't need to play with any settings or etc. So it's gonna be all set up for you to go. And then once you click here, so it's gonna take you to this type of interface. So you will see, let me move this. Okay. So there will be two type of interface, overview and the package. So let's look at the overview first. And then in the overview, you will see there are some different sections like curriculum vitae, letter of self-report, research, teaching, service, practice. And then you will also see required documents here. So it's gonna say one required. So criterion 1, 2, 3, they were required, but you are also allowed to add some optional documents as well. And so that's where you need to look at the bylaws and talk to the other people. So as you see, there is one section for CV, one section for letter of self-report, and one section for research, teaching, and service. And again, it's these type, they were also given to me, so I just had to upload documents under these sections, the relevant documents. And let me show you. So this is the overview. This is where I really uploaded things. So the curriculum. So there you see this is the file I uploaded. And then there are also these links, but I need to check how updated these links. But this is the same. So there is one required, but I added 3 here. So the self-evaluation appendix A, support letters, etc. And if you go research, so let me see. So let me see. Oh yeah, this was. These were the required documents that I added here. Military research criterion 1, 2, 3. And because of the track I was going after, I also needed to add excellence in research and excellence in research 1 and 2. And so these were also already there. That's gonna help me to address these points. So again, so each these documents. So when I click each of them, they all opens up a document. So let me close this. And similarly, the teaching, so let me see. Oh, so this is what was required here. These are the optional documents, and this was another required document. And this is so as you see, I uploaded a document for each criterion here. And I do also have service. And again, for the first criteria. So by the way, so these criteria, they were updated recently. So because I started a while ago, I was evaluated using the old criteria. So these criteria, you are not gonna see at the bylaws because they changed. We have, I think, better defined criteria now. And again, service criteria 2, service criteria 3, as you see, for each criteria, I have a subdocument. And actually, these sub-documents, they are mostly a copy and paste from my main 5-page evaluation letter. And I don't have practice. So this is roughly how the interface looks, and how I created my my package. So just to clarification, this may confuse you. So I have a self-evaluation letter, and I have Appendix A. So the appendix is not to add more text. So my appendix is a video. So that's the reason I had to put there as an appendix. And these support letters, they are also not reviewer letters. So I just get some letters from, or I put there some letters from students and the other people that I work with to support my case. These are different than the external letters that we previously discussed. So let me see. The chat. So I don't see any question relevant to me.
I
Okay,
have a question about something that's in the chat.
sure.
Priscilla, you had said that the external reviewer letters, like the submitting who they are, is September 15th, not the normal, not the final for, not October.
Yeah, for those seeking associate, for those who need external letters, associate or full professor, there is a form, external reviewer form that's due September 15th.
Where, so I know where the form is for those things, but where does it say that they're due the 15th? Just trying to find it.
Yeah, look at the email from Amy Hester. So the Amy's email says provides the deadline. So that's important for us to get this by 15, so that we will have enough time to recruit external letters in time for the applicants. So actually that's the most important bottleneck in this whole process to get the external letters in time. So that's the reason we request it a month in advance, so that we will have the letters in time.
And maybe Mary Beth, maybe Lori, do you have a question that I tried to answer, but maybe didn't?
I don't think so, Mary Beth. Mary Beth, I was asking questions about the forms for the CV. Or were you asking me about my questions about the external reviewers?
So in the chat, Lori, you've got, can someone update the links to the most recent
Yes.
format?
Yeah. Those are for the for our CV.
Okay, so the most recent format's been posted on the intranet since March of 2021.
Yep, I completely understand that. But I don't have, okay, so to get to the intranet, I'd have to go to my VPN, which the VPN is hard to get to from my home. You know, and I'm not faulting that on anybody, but just so I don't go digging through a whole bunch of files and get the wrong version, I think it would be easy if they could just upload it here to the link, that's all.
We can
okay.
send it out. We can send it out we can send it out to you, Lori, no problem.
I have a question about the 3 reviewers again. I'm sorry, I know we keep going back to this, but I have the original email, Amy, that you sent. I filled out the intent to apply. So then where do I find the link or the information about submitting the 3 external reviewers? And I'm sorry if you said it and I missed it.
That should also be on the intranet. I'm checking right now, but
Okay, okay.
sorry if Priscilla, if you guys don't mind, I can call it and email it to this group. If that's easier, Priscilla.
It's just a lot to, get straight. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't recall there being a form that we fill out with those 3 people's names on it. Was there a form attached to the email?
So there is, it's a part of the new process to make sure that everything's organized. APT came up with their, it's a document that you fill out that has what they're seeking for information. Oh, I froze.
Didn't I see that, that submission form on the APT committee page on the intranet? I thought I had seen that the form was there.
Yeah, it should be. I'm just
Yeah.
double checking that it's there.
Yeah, no, I think it.
And Pat, also you are right. You just provide the names.
You guys, I don't see anywhere on that thing that it's due September 15th. We just might want to add that for the future. And I don't see it in the con packet either. That's where I was trying to find it. That date, and I don't remember an email, Amy. Again, if you sent it, I'm so sorry. But I was under it was the October 15th assumption because there was that I didn't see anything else.
Actually, in the documents, there's an August 15th date that is listed, and that's what it's going to be going forward. So for this year, we're staying with the September 15th date, but next year and going forward, it will be August because I just can't tell you how difficult it is to recruit external reviewers. And we need to kind of get the jump on every other school that's contacting senior scholars to serve as external reviewers. So that's sort of the issue with that. And yes, we need the names and full and complete contact information for these people. And then the APT committee solicits the letters. So you just need to provide the contact information. Thank you.
Amy, I had a question. When are you sending out the links to the Interfolio for the people who have declared that they're going up?
This week.
This week. Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to make sure people saw this presentation so they could start.
Thank you.
And I realize some of you can't get to the intranet, but under the APT documents, it does have the elements for the APT checklist. So we devised a checklist to help people to kind of, linearly go through and make sure you have all the appropriate items. And then also the reviewer list. One of the things we've struggled with is if a faculty member doesn't self-declare or inform us what you think, how you define your practice expertise, it's really hard for us to then go find reviewers that can fairly review your dossier. So that document is on the APT intranet, which I understand people are struggling to get to the intranet via VPN, but it does ask you to say a brief summary of your expertise and then specific information about the reviewers and how to contact them.
I guess really the key point is getting to the intranet for the APT is important for promotion. So it may, I agree, it may be a bit of a pain, but not that bad. And that's where everything is. Probably it's going to answer your questions. Yeah.
So there's a question on the chat I see. Sarah Stone asks, is there a certain format or letterhead for the 5-page letter to the dean? So this is what I have. Yeah, exactly, Laura. But this is the example I have. So basically I have the subsections for each, the teaching, this, and this is criteria 1, explanation. So this is, so make it as structured as possible so it's easy to read. And then, yeah, so this is how I did my letter.
And then Mustafa, just to clarify, those documents to criteria 1, criteria 2, criteria 3 that you're uploading into Interfolio can be actual cut and paste sections of this that we're looking at. It's not
That's
bringing up something different. Okay.
So in some of them, I think I made like in table format.
Okay.
So it was in some cases, but in essence, you are right.
Okay.
But some of the sub criteria, they came directly from here. Some of them, I just made some additions, and sometimes I just made a table format. So
Okay. So it's a space to squeeze in more if we're trying to
So
get
this
that
is
5 pages down. Okay,
So
good.
the C here. So because it's 5-page limit, so I had to really squeeze it. But yeah.
So if we're cutting stuff from our 5-pager, that's a good place to put it under the other uploaded document. Okay,
That's
thank
right.
you.
This is Pat again. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I have my wrong title on the dossier form or on Interfolio. So, I mean, I'm working, so I need to get that clarified, but, because my current position isn't correctly listed. But when I go and I start at home, or which of these tabs on the left, I perhaps missed that when you started, Mustafa, because it's really been helpful. But do you start with your packets? Because I want to go to review, promotion, and tenure, but it doesn't let you.
So Pat, you're looking at, if you ever declared in the past, you also received a link for a case. So that is an old one, and
got it.
so your new one will look more like Mustafa's, and you would go to your packet on the side.
Okay, got it. Thank you. That explains why it's not.
And then if anybody has any issues or whatever, I can Zoom with you and we can look at it to make sure that you have the right access, you see the right packet information, and that you have everything correct.
Perfect. Thank you. That explains it. Thanks.
Any further questions?
Just to clarify, October 15th is the last day we can put things into Interfolio.
That's the day you're gonna submit your application, and Dr. Barton, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can add anything that you think is vitally important to your dossier until we submit it. Is that right, Dr. Barton?
So the issue is you need to submit a complete dossier on October 15th. If you have pubs or new grant funding that happens after that, you are more than welcome to upload those at that time.
Okay, thank you.
So basically only updates after that. And we are strict about accepting only complete packages.
With that same in mind, if we are writing our self-evaluation letter and something is in process, it's okay for us to speak to that. And then when that comes, if it does, we're successful, just dropping that in as a document, a supporting document.
That's right.
Okay.
And I don't know if folks saw in the chat, there was a good question about the limitations or formatting of the 5-page letter. And there are guidelines in the APT documents, no smaller than an 11-point font and 1/2-inch margins.
Is there a restriction on which font you use?
I don't see the font specified, just 5 pages, 11-point font, but I don't see that, whether it has to be Times or Arial or anything like that.
But I would recommend against that little script font. Remember, this letter is going to go to your external reviewers. You want it to be legible for them, most notably. So make it in a reasonable, let's just use the word reasonable 11-point font, not that super tiny one.
And just to finish up, know that we, the APT committee, are here for you to help you. So as we can help you, we will. If we can't help you, we'll try to find somebody who can. And in other words, like giving you an example of a self-evaluation letter. But in general, we are here to help you with the process.
I have maybe this is a vague question, but maybe not, hopefully not. So if you've applied and been promoted in the past, would you, I mean, even though, yes, we're going for a new position, would you advise using that kind of more as your midpoint, even though it's not a midpoint, but there's already a 5-page letter and all of that, how you met that criteria. And so would you advise keeping some of that in or just moving forward from that point? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a great question. And really, you want to concentrate on your accomplishments since your last promotion. Or if you were hired and this is your first promotion, you want to concentrate on that time frame. What have you done since then to meet the criteria? Yeah.
Great. That's very helpful. Thanks.
Any other questions before we?
Brenda was just saying she would like to get an example of a self-evaluation letter for promotion to senior instructor if possible. We had, Brenda, we had quite a few people go up and achieve senior instructor last year. I would hope that someone would be willing to share a letter with you, could reach out.
So we cannot distribute previous applicants' documents, but if you reach them out, so I think that's the best way to go.
Okay.
All right, Mustafa, you want to close it down?
Sure. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending. And again, if you have any question, we are at the email distance. So let us know, and good luck with your application.
Thank you so much. This was very helpful.
Thank you.